Welcome to the deep dive. We're plunging into the really fascinating history of martial arts today.
Yeah, it's a huge topic.
It really is. Our mission basically is to explore how human combat went from, pure primal instinct to these complex global systems we see now.
And why they still matter.
Exactly, and why understanding that journey is key, especially for modern approaches, something like San Chi Dao.
Right.
So let's start way back. Humanity's earliest struggles. What do those first sort of raw forms of combat tell us about how structured fighting even began?
Well, it's actually pretty remarkable how quickly that basic instinct started to turn into something more formalized.
Right.
You see the move from like fists and rocks to spears and basic tools, obviously born out of just pure necessity, survival. But then you look at, say, ancient Egypt, maybe around 3100 BCE, and you find actual documented evidence. Formalized stuff.
What kind of things?
Things like wrestling, stick fighting, even boxing. And it wasn't just random. It was integrated into military training, sometimes even sport. That shows discipline, right, early on.
Wow, okay. So structure appeared quite early then.
Definitely. And think about ancient Greece, too. The Olympic Games had combat sports like pancration.
Oh, yes, pancration. Brutal stuff, I hear.
Oh, totally. A kind of devastating mix of wrestling and boxing, very few rules. Really versatile, all-encompassing combat.
So even back then, they were thinking about well-rounded fighting systems.
Exactly. It shows that shift from just survival to, systematic training and how combat became part of the culture itself.
Okay, now here's where, for me at least, it gets really interesting. When we think of martial arts evolving beyond just like the physical fight, our minds often go east, right?
Absolutely.
Where philosophy and spiritual paths became almost inseparable from the combat itself. How did that work?
Yeah, the Eastern traditions really embraced a more holistic view. I mean, look at China. The Shaolin monastery is iconic, legendary. Monks developing unique kung fu styles, often inspired by animal movements, combining incredible physical skill with profound spiritual discipline.
And not just Shaolin, right?
No, not at all. Taoist philosophy, for example, led to what they call internal styles, like Tai Chi Chuan.
Ah, Tai Chi, more about balance and energy.
Exactly. Balance, cultivating chi, that life energy, subtle control over force. And then in Japan, you have Bushido, the way of the warrior for the samurai.
Leading to things like sword fighting.
Right, Kenjutsu, swordsmanship. And from Jiu-jitsu, which was more about grappling and joint locks, you get the development of Judo and Aikido later on.
So there's that split, almost, between the how-to and the why.
Precisely. The difference they make between jutsu, meaning practical techniques, and do, which is more like a path, a way of self-improvement. It underlines that deep link between fighting skill and, personal growth. Echoes of Mushin, that state of no mind, total clarity.
That's fascinating. But it raises a question. How did all that philosophical depth stack up against, say, the very practical, often brutal needs of medieval Europe?
That's a great comparison point, because medieval Europe had its own distinct set of challenges. Heavy armor, powerful weapons, different codes like chivalry.
So a different focus entirely.
You could say that. Medieval European martial arts were, primarily about battlefield effectiveness. No bones about it.
Makes sense. Knights in armor.
Exactly. Knights developed really sophisticated fencing techniques. We know this from the Fechtbücher, these incredibly detailed fencing manuals.
Fechtbücher, right.
Yeah, emphasizing things like leverage and timing, specifically designed to work against someone in full plate armor.
Very specialized.
Very. And then you have, say, the Vikings, known for their ferocity, right?
Yeah.
Their approach was more about directness, aggression, axes, shields. The sagas even talk about shield maidens fighting alongside the men.
Wow. And this wasn't just Europe and Asia, presumably.
Oh, absolutely not. This kind of adaptation was happening everywhere. Across Africa, North and South America, the Eurasian steppe, cultures developed incredibly diverse forms.
Any standout examples?
Well, capoeira in Brazil is amazing. An Afro-Brazilian art that was actually disguised as dance to hide it from oppressors.
Oh, incredible story.
Or think about the Mongols.
Yeah.
Unparalleled horseback archery. Just phenomenal skill adapted to their environment and way of life. It really shows how combat evolves universally, adapting ingeniously everywhere.
Okay, so bringing us more towards the modern day. Gunpowder arrives. That must have radically changed everything for individual combat skills, right?
Huge change. Yeah.
Yet, martial arts obviously didn't disappear. They adapted again, evolving into global sports, new kinds of self-defense. How did they manage that?
It really highlights their incredible adaptability, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Gunpowder definitely reduced the role of the individual warrior on the main battlefield. But then Fast forward to the World Wars. Suddenly, there's a resurgence of interest in practical, brutal, close-quarters combat. Think about the stuff taught by William Fairbairn and Eric Sykes.
For special forces, right. Very direct, very effective.
Extremely effective. Uncompromising. And then post-war, martial arts just exploded globally as sports. Judo became an Olympic sport pretty early on.
And more recently, things like BJJ.
Oh, Brazilian Jiu-jitsu completely revolutionized ground fighting. Massively influenced mixed martial arts MMA, which itself is a fusion of styles.
It's constant mixing and matching now.
It really is. And alongside the sports, you saw the rise of really pragmatic self-defense systems. Krav Maga is a famous example, developed for military, but adapted for civilians, too.
So globalization and even like the internet must be speeding this up.
Absolutely. Digital dissemination means techniques spread instantly. There's constant cross-pollination, refinement, innovations moving faster than ever.
So reflecting on this whole deep dive, this journey through history, we see this continuous thread. What's the big takeaway about the timeless principles here? And how does a modern system like San Chi Dao see itself fitting in?
I think the red thread, the really enduring insight running through all these diverse practices, it's more than just balance or timing or precision, though those are key. It's really about the continuous human search for effectiveness, for strategy, for the efficient use of body and mind.
Mastery, in a sense.
Exactly. Mastery over the situation and over oneself. And something like San Chi Dao sees itself as sort of a contemporary continuation, a bridge between all that ancient wisdom and the specific challenges we face today.
So integrating the best bits.
Trying to, integrating the physical prowess, the philosophical depth, and the pragmatic realism learned throughout history into something that's relevant right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. So the history of martial arts isn't just, a collection of cool techniques. It's really this ongoing, eternal journey, an invitation for you, the listener, to think about personal transformation. It reminds you that true mastery isn't just the physical skill. It's about weaving discipline, mental sharpness, that inner calm into, all parts of your life.
All set.
We really hope this deep dive has enriched your understanding, both of this incredible past and maybe your own path within martial arts. So, as a final thought for you to ponder, thinking about all those examples, what historical example of combat's adaptability really strikes you as the most surprising?
Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into Jan Dahl's life journey. We're working from the personal history and notes he shared.
Right. Really fascinating stuff.
Our mission, really, is to trace his path, from those early challenges in Copenhagen and Albertsland.
All the way to creating his own martial arts system, San Chi Dao, down in Nakskov.
Yeah, it's a story about, seeking knowledge, hitting obstacles, overcoming them.
And ultimately, forging your own way. It really is.
So where does it start?
Well, right at the beginning, those early foundations are key. Jan, born Copenhagen 75, but spent the first years in Albertsland.
Okay.
He had a twin brother, Per, and a younger sister, Jane. Their mother was a single parent for a bit.
Right.
Then their stepfather, Bent, came into the picture around 83. He brought different things like fishing, outdoor stuff with the boys.
Then Albertsland back then.
Yeah.
It sounds like it had its challenges. Some exposure to gang dynamics, maybe?
Yeah, seems so. Some minor mischief,
Yeah.
And wanting self-defense against bigger kids.
But his mother was hesitant.
Understandably, yeah. Worried they'd just practice on each other.
Huh. Right.
Yeah.
So that tension was there, needing it, but being held back.
Exactly. And that really becomes a theme. Then there's a big shift in 88.
We move south to Lolland.
Yep, Neesby, suddenly out in the quiet countryside. A huge change.
Did that sort of calm things down and the mischief?
Pretty much killed the opportunities for it. But the core problem, bigger kids bullying smaller ones, like Jan.
It didn't go away just because the scenery changed.
Not at all. So the desire for martial arts was still burning. They kept asking.
And finally got the green light.
Finally, yeah. 1991, Jan 16, permission for a self-defense course at the youth school.
And the first lesson, wasn't it something about strangulations?
It was, which, understandably freaked his mother out a bit.
I bet.
But the instructor apparently smoothed it over. This led him to start jiu-jitsu properly in Nakskov.
He tried judo, too, briefly.
Yeah, found it pretty tough physically at first. His schedule then just exploded. Cycling, newspaper round, running jiu-jitsu twice a week.
Wow. That shows real dedication, right?
Yeah.
Driven by that initial need for self-defense.
Right, absolutely. And you see it ramp up even more after he won his first medal, late 92, a reaction course.
So he doubled down.
Swapped running for Judo, training 4 times a week, super intense.
And this is when key mentors appear.
Right. His jiu-jitsu instructor, Torben Feldskov, almost a father figure, and Kurt Holmgard, a stamp dealer, offering wisdom despite physical limits. You see how important those positive male figures were.
Badly.
Yeah.
And he wasn't just sticking to one thing, was he?
No, already looking beyond. Moved into Nakskov Town 93, added free-fighting karate, learning to take hits, integrate striping.
So seeing different styles as tools to make his jiu-jitsu better.
Exactly. Not rivals, but resources. That integration idea is crucial later on.
Then 94 hits. Big turning point.
Huge. Just 19, and suddenly he and his brother are full-time jiu-jitsu instructors.
Because their main instructor got injured.
Yeah. And Jan felt completely, utterly unprepared. Too young, too small, teaching adults bigger than him.
That's immense pressure.
Immense. And it directly fueled this voracious appetite for knowledge.
You started hitting the books?
Devoured them. Jiu-jitsu, Judo, Hwarang-do, Bruce Lee, everything. His library just ballooned. He wasn't just training, he was studying.
Seminars, too.
Critical. Like with Mario Den Adel in Holland, 98, that sparked ideas about combining fitness and martial arts.
And this is interesting. He noticed the jiu-jitsu curriculum back then was quite loose.
Very freeform, yeah. Just demonstrate some techniques for grading. No rigid structure.
Which ironically maybe gave him ideas about structure later, but doing it differently.
Possibly, yeah. Planted a seed, his search kept going, even through military service 95-96, trained at different Copenhagen clubs, including Wing Sun.
After the army, kind of drifting job-wise.
Bounced around, plant nursery, even a Copenhagen taxi driver. Pre-GPS, memorizing the whole city. Wild.
But none of it felt like the path, right?
Yeah.
Not related to his passion.
No. So he basically decided to create his own path. Designed his own intense education focused purely on martial arts, aiming to make it his living.
So 99 to 2000.
Deep dive training.
Full on. Daily Wing Sun in Copenhagen Jiu-Jitsu and Judo and Nakskov weekends, teaching his brother too. Building this multi-style foundation. And right when he's deep in Wing Sun, opportunity knocks. Or maybe forces his hand.
How so?
Heard another instructor planned a Wing Sun school in Nakskov. So Jan approached a fitness center owner about maybe using some space.
And the owner offered to sell him the whole place.
The entire center, just like that. Jan was 25, used his house as leverage, bought it, May 2000.
Wow. Okay. So he integrates Wing Sun there, gets his first master grade in 2002.
But then that critical thinking, honed over years in different systems, starts kicking in.
He starts questioning the Wing Sun structure.
Seriously questioning it. Like, why train chainsaw the sensitivity drill with arms with feet parallel?
But then adopt a fighting stance that uses leg contact. Exactly. And why were key leg techniques seemingly kept back for decades, maybe? Until super high levels.
That perceived secrecy, that compartmentalizing,
Yeah.
it felt off to him.
Totally different from the openness of Judo and Jiu-jitsu he knew. He asked questions, went for private lessons.
Only to be told the higher-ups wouldn't allow teaching those advanced bits early.
Pretty much. That experience, questioning respected systems, it's vital for growth.
So he felt stuck, constrained.
Until late 2003. Found Sifu Martin Dragos in Germany who promised to teach the whole system.
He went to check it out.
Several trips in 2004. And became convinced. The leg and arm work, they weren't separate advanced things.
They needed to be integrated right from the start.
That was the revelation, the catalyst. He started tweaking things, adding elements he felt were missing, weapons, grappling sections.
Based on everything he'd learned across all those years and styles.
Precisely. Which led to September 1st, 2004, he officially went independent.
Taking all that knowledge, all those adaptations.
And creating his own system. First Wing Sun Do, then San Chi Dao, now San Chi Dao. Built on questioning, integrating, innovating.
So wrapping this up, what does it all really mean? Kian's journey, starting for self-defense, teaching before ready, that deep dive into knowledge.
Critically questioning established ways, like with Wing Sun's structure.
And then building his own thing. It just highlights how challenging the status quo, even within respected traditions, can really spark innovation.
Yeah, integrating all those diverse experiences becomes the fuel.
Which brings us to a final thought, really, for you listening. How do those unexpected turns, maybe the things you push back against in your own life or your field?
How do they end up becoming the unique building blocks for creating something completely new, something authentic to you? Welcome to The Deep Dive. Today we're taking a fascinating plunge into San Chi Dao. It's a unique martial arts system, but also really a philosophy. Promises not just self-defense, but, well, a truly holistic approach to life.
That's a good way to put it. Holistic.
Yeah. So our mission today is to unpack its core principles, understand its very practical approach, and maybe uncover why its creators are making it freely accessible.
Yeah, that last part is pretty interesting, too.
Right. So before we get into all the techniques and stuff, let's start with something maybe surprising. San Chi Dao, which translates roughly to the way of three energies, I think.
That's about right, yeah.
Okay. It's built around a single number, a number that seems to govern, well, everything.
Exactly, the number 3. And it's not just symbolic, it's deeply integrated into the structure, the very mechanics of it.
How so? Like, give us an example.
Okay, well, take self-defense. It emphasizes protecting yourself across 3 heights, high, middle, and low. So complete awareness.
Right. Makes sense.
And then there are the 3 safety lines. First, you move. Simple, right. Get out of the way. Second, you control the opponent's limb, the attacking part. And third, only then you counterattack.
Ah, okay. So it's like layers of safety built into every single action.
Precisely. It's a cascade of options, not just one single block or strike. It builds active safety.
That sounds incredibly robust. Very practical, not just theory, but, some systems have hundreds of techniques. How does having fewer techniques work effectively against, like, unexpected attacks?
That's a great question, because it is different. It focuses on fundamental movement patterns. Think of it like grammar and vocabulary.
Yeah.
You master the core elements, and then you can combine them in, well, thousands of ways. It actually reduces the mental load when things get stressful.
Right, less to remember under pressure.
Exactly. And here's the really unique bit. Every technique, even empty hand stuff, even grappling, it's all guided by how you defend against a weapon, specifically a knife.
A knife. Why a knife?
Because defending against a knife forces you to understand critical angles, distance, safety principles. Really fundamental stuff.
Oh, okay.
So it's not just about knife defense. It builds maximum safety into everything you do against any kind of threat from the ground up.
That makes so much sense for, real world situations, unpredictable stuff. And you mentioned it being holistic body, mind, and spirit or character. Lots of martial arts claim that. How does San Chi Dao specifically deliver on that beyond just the physical workout?
Well, the physical side is demanding, for sure. The precision, the adaptability, it builds intense awareness.
Okay.
But mentally, needing to constantly improvise, adapt under pressure, especially with those safety principles always in mind. That sharpens your focus, your problem solving, even in chaos.
Right, like mental agility training.
Kind of, yeah, and ethically. This system really emphasizes de-escalation efficiency, personal responsibility. It's not about aggression or winning competitions. It's about sculpting your character. Genuine self-mastery, not just fighting skills.
Okay, I see. And what really stands out is that practicality you mentioned. You said beginners can test it immediately.
Absolutely. The effectiveness is its own proof. You don't have to just believe it because someone tells you or it's in a book.
Like the old saying?
Exactly. Try it. If it works, it works. The theories are logically built, scientifically sound in terms of biomechanics and physics. Beginners can test basic principles safely right away.
That's powerful. Building confidence through direct experience.
Yeah, confidence in the system and in yourself.
Okay, so simple, adaptable, verifiable. Sounds great. But let's shift gears slightly. Why give it all away? The comprehensive Bible book, the website, YouTube videos, all free. That seems unusual.
It is unusual, perhaps. But the dedication behind it is profound. It stems from this powerful desire to ensure the system's legacy.
The legacy.
Yeah, to make it available for everyone, anyone, to learn. So the knowledge itself lives on indefinitely. Think of it as like a gift.
A gift to humanity. Sort of, yeah. A living library of practical knowledge for self-defense and, well, holistic well-being. Letting it evolve with the people who use it. It's quite generous, really. A belief in sharing knowledge for the greater good.
That's quite something. So, okay, let's bring it back to the listener. What does all this mean for you?
Well, you've got this deeply integrated system. Self-defense, personal growth, logical, testable principles, a philosophy of well-being, and it's all freely accessible, which I think raises a really important question for all of us. What do you choose to focus on in your life?
How do you mean?
The system teaches that you really do get what you concentrate on. If you spend your time looking for flaws in people, in situations, you'll find them. Guaranteed.
Right. You find what you seek.
Exactly. But if you consciously, intentionally look for the good, look for opportunities for ways to grow, that's what you'll discover instead. It's about directing your focus.
That's a powerful takeaway. And maybe consider this. The person you spend the most time with, undeniably, is yourself.
True. So make sure it's good company. And guided by purpose, maybe a little practical wisdom like San Chi Dao offers.
Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're unpacking San Chi Dao, a really fascinating system for holistic development based on the sources you've shared with us. Our mission really is to cut through the complexity and, reveal its core framework. It promises a kind of shortcut to clarity and action, even when things get tangled.
Yeah, and what's really striking about San Chi Dao, I think, is how it's built on this, well, profound and very coherent framework. It all hinges on its central concept, guiding theories, and then these actionable principles. Understanding how these three fit together, that's absolutely key to grasping its depth and, well, its practical power.
Okay, so let's break that down. The concept, that's the big idea. The main framework, like the idea of cause and effect, maybe. So for San Chi Dao, it's the blueprint for how conflict happens and how you can handle it effectively.
Exactly, that's the what. And if the concept is the what, then the theories really dig into the why and the how. A bit like, say, how the theory of gravity explains why things fall. San Chi Dao's theories explore the mechanics, the psychology, the physical dynamics, explaining why the concept actually works so well.
Right, the underlying reasons. And the principles, then, are the practical rules that do this, not that. Like if look before you leap is a principle for safety, San Chi Dao's principles tell you exactly how to apply the concepts and theories in, real time, the actual execution.
Precisely. It's this integrated system. You get the big picture and the detailed instructions. And at its core, the San Chi Dao concept gives you a really structured way to handle, well, frankly, overwhelming complexity.
Okay, and here's where it got really insightful for me. The San Chi Dao concept, it's not just about techniques, is it? It's about achieving total fluid control. And that means controlling the whole opponent, high, middle, and low zones.
Total control. Think head and shoulders, chest and arms, hips and legs. You need to influence the entire structure.
How does that play out practically? Can you give an example?
Sure. So imagine you want to throw a roundhouse kick. If you just, kick out, you could be left wide open, vulnerable. In San Chi Dao, the idea might be to first, say, grab their lead hand, pull them slightly forward and down, just enough. What that does is it shifts their weight, makes it harder for them to kick back or grab your leg, see? You're maintaining your safety while creating an opening. It's about controlling the whole interaction.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. It's proactive control. And you mentioned a core part of this is the 3 safety lines. Sounds like a way to, well, stack the odds in your favor.
That's exactly the idea. It's about maximizing your odds of staying safe. They build on each other. First is line 1, self-removal. Simple, really. Avoid getting hit. Step away, move your head. Just don't be where the attack lands.
Get out of the way. Makes sense.
Then, line 2, control of the opponent's movement. Once you're safe, you disrupt their action. Maybe guide an incoming arm off target or just slightly imbalance them, stop their flow.
Okay, so avoid, then disrupt.
And finally, line 3, your counterattack. This is your action, but it's most effective, much more effective, when lines 1 and 2 are already working for you. You're acting from a position of relative safety and control. Like we always say, in combat, there are no guarantees. We have odds. We try to make them as good as possible.
Right. Layer upon layer of safety before acting. That feels much smarter. And then this other really interesting simplification. Reducing all the ways someone might resist down to just 3 real forms. Pull, push, or tension bracing. That sounds almost too simple for messy reality.
It is simple, and that's its strength, especially under pressure. It doesn't matter when it happens or where on their body. If they pull away,
You go with it.
you go with their force, yeah. If they push into you,
Go with that too.
exactly. And if they just tense up or brace,
You go around it.
you flow around that rigid structure. It gives you an immediate, intuitive response without having to think through dozens of specific techniques. It cuts down the mental clutter.
Yeah, I can see how that would work. Removes the hesitation. So what's the takeaway here? It seems like, despite all the depth, the San Chi Dao concept is fundamentally about simplicity at its core. And through the right kind of practice, these responses become, well, automatic, like instinct, but based on this logic.
Absolutely. Understanding and really internalizing this core concept is the crucial first step. It provides that foundation, that roadmap for clarity and purpose. Which actually leads to an interesting question for you, the listener. If a system like this can encode complex physical responses into almost instinctual logic for safety, well, how else could adopting clear foundational mental models like this help you simplify other complex parts of your life, maybe career stuff or even personal decisions? Something to think about.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking into something called San Chi Dao. Now, you might hear that and just think, okay, another martial art. But there's actually a lot more going on, right?
Yeah.
The whole philosophy, it seems, is packed right into the name itself. So what's really hiding in that name? Why is getting that the first step?
Yeah, that's a great place to start because San Chi Dao, it's not just some random label they picked. It's very deliberate. It's basically a condensed version of the system's core ideas, its purpose, even the universal principles behind it all. It tells you right away this is holistic. Body, mind, spirit. They're not separate things here. They're meant to work together dynamically, harmoniously.
Okay, so let's break it down then. To really get San Chi Dao, we probably need to start with that first syllable, San, which means 3.
Exactly. San is 3. And it's way more than just a number in this context. It's absolutely central. Think of it as representing universal balance, dynamic stability. You know, that kind of harmony you get when opposites are brought together by a third element?
A third element, like a stabilizing force.
Precisely. And what's really cool is how fundamental the number 3 is, just everywhere in reality. I mean, look at the atom. Protons, neutrons, electrons. 3 parts. Or time. Past, present, future. Space. Height, width, depth. Even basic geometry, the triangle is the most stable shape, right?
Right.
So in San Chi Dao, this idea, this trinity, shows up practically. You've got the trinity of body, mind, and spirit working as one.
Yeah.
You've got the idea of control in 3 heights, dealing with attacks high, middle, low, and even the 3 phases of combat, how you start, engage, and finish an encounter. It's a framework for stability, even when things get chaotic.
Okay, so San Chi's gives us this fundamental structure, this blueprint of 3s. What actually powers it? What makes it move? That must be the Chai part.
That's it.
Yeah.
Swaiji. It translates often as energy or life force. And importantly, it's not just some vague mystical idea. It's concrete. It's the physical power you generate, like the snap and a punch. But it's also the inner stuff, your focus, your intention, your willpower, that subtle energy.
So mastering Chi isn't just about breathing exercises.
Not solely, no. It's really about understanding how to use your mental state, your focus, to boost your physical action. It's about being fully present, totally alive and responsive in the moment, feeling that energy flow, and crucially, directing it where you need it, turning thought into effective action.
Okay. Structure from San, energy and intention from Chi. What holds it all together? What's the direction? That leaves Dao.
Exactly. Dao, usually translated as the way. But yeah, it's deeper than just a roadmap. It represents the whole life philosophy. It's the path towards insight, towards continuous improvement, constant mastery.
So it's not just about fighting techniques.
Not at all. Dao is the journey. It's about taking these principles, the balance of San, the energy of Qi, and applying them everywhere. In conflict, sure, but also just in life. It's really the glue. It turns techniques into a meaningful practice, something you live.
You mentioned something interesting before, this idea of recursive logic, tying it all together. Can you explain that a bit more? How does that fit in?
Right. The recursive logic. It's fascinating because you see these same core patterns repeating at different levels, different scales. The system is kind of self-similar. Think about, say, Sanskrit. It's built with such logic, like an algorithm almost. Simple roots build complex meanings.
Okay.
Or even basic computer code, 1s and 0s building everything we see on screen. Or the ancient Chinese Bagua, the 8 diagrams. Fundamental elements combining to describe everything. So with San Chi Dao, mastering a few core patterns gives you the tools to respond effectively in countless situations. It makes learning very efficient, very adaptable.
Which points back to that holistic idea then, that body, mind, spirit aren't just connected, they're like reflections of the same patterns.
That's a great way to put it. It's fundamentally holistic. True strength, real balance, comes from seeing them as one indivisible unit. You can't optimize one without considering the others.
So how does this apply, for someone listening who isn't necessarily training martial arts daily?
Well, the principle holds true. It means nurturing all parts of yourself. Your physical side needs attention, good food, sunlight, movement, proper rest. Basic stuff, but vital. But just as important is feeding the mind. You need that fodder for the brain, as you said. Reading, thinking critically, having discussions, it all links together. Neglect one area and eventually it affects the others. It's about overall well-being for, well, for deeper mastery in whatever you pursue.
So San Chi Dao,
Yeah.
definitely not just a name for a fighting style. It sounds like it's a compact guide to a whole way of thinking and living.
It really is. It's a concentrate of philosophy, this universal logic we talked about, and a practical path for developing yourself. Engaging with these ideas, I think, doesn't just make you better at, say, martial arts. It gives you tools. Tools to handle complexity, find your own balance, and, yeah, achieve a kind of mastery in your life.
So the name really is your first lesson. And the path, well, it's waiting for you to explore it.
Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're diving deep into San Chi Dao. It's a martial art that, honestly, challenges so many conventional ideas about things like mastery, competition, even what belts really mean.
Right. And our sources, they paint this really fascinating picture of their philosophy.
Yeah, they do. And we're here to sort of pull out those core ideas for you.
So our mission really is to understand how San Chi Dao's system fosters individual growth and integrated strength. It goes way beyond just, physical moves.
Totally.
What's remarkable, I think, is how it shifts the focus. It's less about beating someone else and more about, well, this intensely personal journey, self-mastery.
And that shift, that's where it gets really interesting, isn't it? They have this core philosophy, and there's this analogy they use.
The savanna animals one?
Exactly. The elephant, the monkey, the giraffe, trying to climb a tree. It makes the point so clearly.
Right. The monkey nails it, but for the others, it's kind of irrelevant.
And San Chi Dao takes that idea seriously. They don't judge everyone by the same external benchmark. It's about your personal growth, getting past your limits, not like showing up your training partner. How does that even work day to day in training?
Well, it's a big departure, isn't it? From, how we usually think about competition. It feels like a return to something older. This idea that real development happens inside.
Right.
So when they say in the training hall, we fight with each other, it's not about winning or losing in the typical sense.
It's more collaborative.
Exactly. It's built on mutual respect. You apply just enough pressure, just enough challenge to help your partner grow, and they do the same for you, so both people progress. Sparring becomes almost a shared learning thing.
That sounds incredibly powerful, that philosophy, but how do they actually structure it? How do you track this personal journey? How do you know where you are?
Yeah, good question. They have a very clear system, but it feels organic too. There are 12 student grades and then 12 master grades.
Okay, 12 and 12.
And each step, each milestone is meant to integrate your body, mind, and spirit. It's holistic.
So the student grades first. What's the focus there?
That's about building a solid foundation. And it's cumulative. You actually track your own training sessions.
You track them yourself.
Yeah, though sometimes an instructor might verify. But the responsibility is on you. So, for instance, hitting the 4th student grade, that requires a total of 100 training sessions, cumulative, right from the start.
Wow, 100 sessions just for the 4th grade. Okay. It emphasizes showing up, consistency.
Exactly. Personal responsibility for your effort over time.
And then the master grades. That sounds like a whole different level. Refinement, philosophy.
It is.
Yeah.
And time itself becomes a huge factor here. It's not just about logging hours anymore.
How so?
Well, take the 12th master grade, the highest one. It required 12 years from achieving the 11th grade, plus obviously a lot of dedicated training in that time.
12 years between grades.
Yeah. What that really shows, I think, is their belief that true mastery, that deep insight, it just can't be rushed. It needs time to mature, to settle. Wisdom takes time.
And that long view, it connects to the community too, doesn't it? We saw mentions that instructors are more like mentors, guiding rather than resisting.
Yes, absolutely. Learning is seen as a collective thing.
And I caught this really interesting detail that teaching other students actually counts towards your own training credits.
Oh, yeah. That's a beautiful part of it. 3 teaching sessions can count as 1 personal training credit.
Huh.
It really symbolizes that sharing knowledge, helping others along, isn't just like a nice extra. It's fundamental to deepening your own understanding. It's part of becoming a master. Stewardship, almost.
That makes perfect sense. Which, okay, brings us to the symbols, the visible stuff. What does all this philosophy mean for something like the belt?
Right, the belt. In San Chi Dao, it's seen as a living symbol. It reflects your progress, sure, but also the philosophy itself.
So how do the colors work?
Well, for students, it starts with yellow, like the earth, the seed being planted. Then it goes through orange, green, blue, purple, up to brown, which signifies being rooted, stable, and they use stripes for specific grades within those colors.
Okay. Pretty standard progression there initially.
Yeah, but then the master grades start with black, which isn't an end, but represents like the depth of the universe, the beginning of true lifelong dedication.
Beginning, interesting.
And here's where it gets really unique. For the 6th into 8th master grades, the belt is alternating red-white stripes.
Red and white, why that combination?
It symbolizes harmony, the integration of opposites. Think yin and yang, that kind of balance. It's a really powerful visual.
Okay, I see it. And after that?
Then comes red for the 9th and 10th grades, signifying passion, inner fire, that kind of intensity. But then, and this is amazing, for the 11th and 12th master grades, you return to a white belt.
Back to white, like a beginner.
Exactly. It's the full circle. It's this humble return. But now that white belt is loaded with decades of wisdom, experience, and the realization that, the true master is always still a student. It's profound, really.
Wow. That's not just linear, it's philosophical.
Yeah.
And the t-shirts follow a similar idea.
They do, yeah. The t-shirt colors also mark your grade and your place in the community. And they have that triangular logo symbolizing the balance of body, mind, and spirit.
So how do the shirt colors progress?
It starts with white for early students, then gray. Advanced students and early masters wear black, often with a white or yellow triangle. Then higher masters move through red and yellow shirts. And finally, the highest masters. White t-shirt again, but this time with a red triangle.
Ah, another return to white, but marked differently, reinforcing that whole journey.
Precisely. Always coming back to that idea of holistic balance and lifelong learning.
So if we distill this whole deep dive, San Chi Dao really feels less like just a set of techniques and more like, well, an invitation, a profound invitation to lifelong learning, personal transformation, mastering yourself, body, mind, spirit within a community built on respect, not just winning.
Absolutely. And that, I think, leaves us with a really important question for you listening right now. If San Chi Dao teaches that real strength, true strength, comes from constantly working on your own limitations, finding your own balance, how might applying that kind of inward focus change how you approach challenges, not just in martial arts, obviously, but, in your daily life? Welcome to the deep dive. Imagine like a shortcut to being really well informed. Something that changes how you see things, not just, physical stuff, but life's challenges too. Today we're taking a deep dive into the 9 theories of San Chi Dao. And this isn't just martial arts talk.
No, not at all. It's actually quite scientific, really logical. It gets into the why and the how behind, well, moving effectively, handling conflict, even just how people interact.
Right. So think of this dive as giving you a mental roadmap. We're going to unpack these theories.
Yeah, and show you how they give you these really smart, adaptable ways to respond, stuff you can use every single day.
Okay. And you mentioned they're structured.
They are, in 3 phases, basically. First, the initial phase that's all about observing before anything happens. Then the engagement phase, which is, active interaction.
Got it.
And finally, the advanced and control phase. That's where you get into refinement, mastery.
Okay, that makes sense. A clear progression. So let's start with group 1, the initial phase. First one is observation theory.
Right. This is about being really aware of your situation, assessing potential threats proactively.
So more than just common sense, like actively training your brain.
Exactly. It's like your mind learns to map things out instantly. So you react strategically, not just out of fear. It's faster than thinking about it consciously.
Ah, okay. So it's like that gut feeling when a place feels off.
Precisely. That's your subconscious processing tons of tiny details. It builds real awareness into how you just, move through the world. Choosing safer routes, trusting that instinct.
Okay. Building on that awareness, next is distance assessment theory, managing space.
Yeah, and understanding reaction time. Crucial stuff. Knowing your optimal range, your buffer zone.
And not just physically, right?
Definitely not. You can use it in, say, crowded places to keep your space. Or even in arguments, taking a step back literally creates mental space. It helps de-escalate.
Interesting. Okay, rounding out group 1, center line theory. 3 invisible lines.
One down your center and one from each shoulder. Think of them as the most direct paths for attack, but also for defense. They're the most vulnerable points.
And this applies outside of combat, too.
Absolutely. In problem solving, it's like finding the main lever, the center line of the issue. Okay. Addressing that specific point can, unlock the whole thing or cut through the confusion.
Okay, so we've observed, assessed distance, understood the center line.
Yeah.
Now we move from watching to doing.
Exactly. Group 2, the engagement phase. This is where the active interaction happens. We start with balance breaking theory.
Sounds pretty self-explanatory, disrupting stability.
It is. You focus on manipulating three key areas. The head, that's the point of control, the core center of gravity, and the feet, the base of support.
And how does that apply to daily life?
Well, think about your own imbalances. Stress, right? Is it mental in your head, emotional in your heart, or that gut feeling in your stomach? Knowing where the imbalance is helps you figure out how to respond. Do you need to move, cover up, or counter?
Ah, regaining your own balance. Clever. Okay, next.
Support point theory. This looks at how forces work at points of contact. There's this neat 1-2 technique.
Okay.
You apply a little pressure first, see what the resistance is like, then boom, shift the angle or the contact point suddenly. You bypass the force instead of meeting it head on.
So in a discussion, you could find common ground, the support points, to build agreement.
Exactly. Or if you hit a wall, instead of pushing harder, you just change your approach. Find a different angle.
Makes sense. And the last one in this group is geometry theory, using shapes.
Yeah, angles. Like a 30-degree triangle helps you wedge in past defenses. A 90-degree square helps you shed force, like redirecting something coming at you. It's about avoiding direct clashes.
So problem solving, again, instead of arguing head on, you could wedge in a new point.
Or shed the force by just looking at the problem completely differently, reframing it.
Right. Okay, that's powerful. Now for the final group, group 3, the advanced and control phase, mastery time.
This is where it gets really refined. First is force theory, maximum impact, minimum effort.
The dream.
It's about body mechanics. Using momentum speed has a huge, exponential effect here, and that explosive energy release, Fojin.
So working smarter, not harder, basically.
Pretty much. Focus your energy on the big things. Or in communication, craft your message so precisely it lands with maximum impact without wasting words or energy.
Okay. Then control theory. This sounds intense. Dominating movement.
It's about understanding how joints work together, often in pairs. If you control one key joint, you influence its partner. Sometimes it's even just about anticipating and guiding their intention, their momentum.
How does that translate? Self-improvement, maybe?
Yeah. Tackle a bad habit by controlling the key joint, the trigger action or thought that starts the chain reaction. Or in relationships, guide a difficult conversation by focusing on key contact points to steer things constructively.
Wow, okay. And the final one, the culmination. Center theory.
This is the big one. Maintaining your inner balance, physical, mental, spiritual, no matter what's going on outside.
Like being the calm in the storm.
Exactly. Holding your own center, yes, but also sometimes merging with the opponent's flow and always calibrating your center intentionally. Think of a tightrope walker constantly adjusting.
So in a stressful meeting, you stay calm. In an argument, you don't get thrown off balance emotionally.
Right. Or even just in social situations. You project that calm confidence. It naturally influences the room.
So these 9 theories, they really build on each other, don't they? It's a whole system.
Absolutely. A fundamental pillar of San Chi Dao. They create this synergy that just transforms how you handle, anything life throws at you.
So we've laid out the roadmap, hopefully giving you a deeper feel for this foundation. The aim is really to empower you, give you more awareness, precision, confidence in daily life.
Yeah, and think about this. Mastering these isn't just about reacting better. It's about actually influencing the flow around you, making things easier, more effective. So maybe the question to ponder is, how can you start practicing being that calm, unshakable center in your own life?